Here we go. This assignment is the animation VSE2, and in this activity you're going to merge two clips to render a video for spaces. The first strip will be recorded using some external camera with physical world, and then a second strip you're going to render out something that we create here in Blender. I'd like you to notice this is version 5 at home. You'll use version 4 in the lab. And for this activity there is a difference between what you're going to see in the VSE and what I have available in the properties in here in version 5, but I'll get to that later. I realized that my setup was not as awesome as I would like at home, so I have adjusted the render startup settings. And I'm going to save that so that next time I will have a 3-point lighting setup. I've installed, well, that's not really the right word, I have created three lamps and set them up. We have a camera, we have a default cube, and you can see right off the bat that there's some red and there's some blue from those lights. And in the object mode you can, in the camera view you can see that it's already got a surface set up for the cube. But we're not going to use a cube in this activity, so goodbye cube. And we're going to start by importing an object. I chose from Thingiverse just an elephant, and I wanted to be able to add it pretty straightforward. I needed to install an extension for 3MF files because the mesh that I am borrowing for this activity, it's not an STL standard file, so normally you get that right off the jump, but I had to add for me, and there's my elephant. This little cursor says it's thinking, and that little view there shows you a zoomed in object, but the camera view shows you we need to scale it bigger. Oh, not upside down elephant. That looks pretty good. GZ, move it into the frame and scale down, I guess. GZ. Alright, in all its glory. I should also speak to the format in here because I did set cycles instead of EV. I did use my GPU compute. I stepped down the samples, 5 in the viewport, 10 in the render, because 4096 is just taking too long to render stuff. I also changed the number of light bounces for the total and the transmission. I turned off the caustics. In the film for this one, we need to not have the background, so I need to set it transparent, and I'm going to make a glass elephant, so I need to make sure I got transparent glass saved as well. And that's good. In the output section, we are going to start with not an image, a video, and for the encoding, I'm going to use the Mastroska because it creates a really small file, but I need the alpha channel, so this codec does not work. PNG will give you RGBA, and I don't need sound for this, so I think what remains is where do I save this? So let's go ahead and actually save the file. And alright, so I've got a file now, and I want to save where that file is. And I want this to be called elephant. Alright. If you don't want it to number the frames that you're going to use, you can turn off the file extensions and tell it precisely what file extension it's going to be. I know Mastroka is MKV file, so I can type that and it'll be just more pretty for the file name. Okay, moving on. I'm going to split the screen, not that way. I want that way, missed. There we go. And I want this one to be shader editor. And I am going to use a new material for my elephant, and just to make it fancy, you can learn a new thing here. There's Fresnel, there's shader, mix shader. I'm going to connect the sockets together with the noodle, and another one, let's make glass, just to make use of those transparent glass. Oh, is it happening again? There we go. Alright, so I've got myself slightly glassier object. Elephants are usually somewhat gray, and let's see, what else could I do here? I could maybe make the base appear a little bit metallic. If you didn't want to do the Fresnel, you can always play directly with the settings yourself. Anyways, that is a cheap effect. What I actually want to do with this is I need a little animation here, so I'm going to make the eyes change color, and to do that I need to go into edit mode, and I need to select the polygons that represent the eye, in this case the pupil. Circle selector is pretty good. You can scroll the wheel, or you can hit the plus sign on the number pad to get a good circle selector. And once you turn it off, you can hit P to separate those vertices into a new object. I'm going to name that one I. This would be the left one because it's staring at me. And I'm going to select the other eye, so back into object mode, rotate over, back into edit mode, and again circle select needs to go bigger. That feels like the ones I want. Turn off the circle selector, separate out the vertices, name the new object that's been created. Alright, what remains is to tell those two surfaces that they are not going to use the default. Oh, we can go back into object mode. And let's try that again. So elephant is going to use the glass elephant. Oh, come on, spelling. And the eyes are not going to use the glass elephant. They are going to use their own material. And now that I'm in here, I don't want this one. I'm going to use, should be an emission shader. And there we go. Make sure that the right eye is, maybe we label that. And we'll make sure that the right eye uses the same one. Okay, we are set up. Don't need that shader anymore, but I know I'm going to use it later, so good to go. I need to select a different view here. Well, no, I think I can use the same one. Alright, timeline. I'm going to set a marker with the M key at the beginning. I was hoping here to hit 60 frames per second. Don't know if the lab will do this, but then that, to make it nice, I'm going to make a 60 frame. That'll be a 1 second video. If you want to go a little bit bigger, it'll just be a longer video. Alright, so I put a marker there, under the marker menu you can rename it. I'm going to call this one Start, and I'm going to place a marker there, and I'm going to rename it End. And let's see, in 30 seconds I'll make a marker 60 frames and 90 frames. Okay, so those are where things are going to change. At the beginning, since nothing has changed, on the left eye will give me access to the shader. I am going to be changing color and the strength, so I need a keyframe for both of those at the beginning to hold their initial values, and the I key makes a keyframe, and I will add the channel for the strength as well. And if I make any changes, the auto keying will record keyframes for it. So I'm thinking power changes, power and the color change, power change, power and color change is my strategy. So let's bump the strength up to 100, and let's put that back to where it began and change the color. And change the power. And change the power and the color. Okay, so that's a pretty simple looking animation. I'm going to save that and make sure that it worked. Go somewhere in the middle, and things did work, and let's make sure I can render an image. I can. I have one glassy metallic elephant with a transparent background, so that's going to work. Here we go.